Through Dr. Pappas' class to be a host for our next speaker. Stefanie oversees the digital efforts for minor league baseball, leading the strategic direction and implementation and management of MILB digital products and e-commerce operations. She acts as primary staff liaison to the Baseball Internet Rights Company Board of Directors, member clubs and leagues, MLB Advanced Media, and other digital partners. She also serves on the Minor League Baseball Diversity Committee. Stefanie joined minor league baseball in 2015. She has experience with several teams in minor league baseball, including the Jacksonville Suns, the Erie Seawolves, State College Spikes, and the Quad Cities River Bandits, where she served as the general manager from 2011 to 2013. Prior to joining minor league baseball in 2015, she spent 1 year as a team advisor at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. The Ohio native has a bachelor's degree in sport management from Flagler College in St. Augustine, Florida, and she currently resides in Clearwater, Florida with her husband, Joe, and their dog, Casey. Please join me in welcoming Stefanie.
How's everyone today? Good. Hopefully you're not in a food coma for me. So, question, how many of you have been to a minor league baseball game before? Oh, that's exciting. Okay, wonderful. So throughout today, I appreciate you guys having me. I'm going to kind of, give a little background so you guys have a deeper dive into what minor league baseball is, the different opportunities, kind of guide you through my path of how I got to where I am today, and then also give some nuggets of knowledge along the way. So, can I use this bad boy? There we go, beautiful. Alrighty, so to kind of start big picture, for those of you that are not aware, there are 160 minor league clubs. So I know a lot of people, there's kind of some confusion when it comes to there's independent leagues and things like that. So when I refer to the 160, that means that they are all affiliated with a major league club. So to kind of choose one, I'm choosing the Houston Astros. Any fans of the Houston Astros here? Well, hopefully you are after today. So you're going to learn a little more about their organization here. So just to kind of give you a snapshot of looking into the different minor league system. So there's AAA, AA, Advanced A, and then you have short season and rookie. So the two on the bottom actually start in the middle of June, and the rest start at the beginning of April. So for the full season clubs, there's 70 games. And I know those of you that have been here that have kind of heard different numbers of games throughout the different areas. We do have 70 home games. So I will say those of you who don't want to work hard, minor league baseball is probably not for you, and that's okay. There's other sports opportunities, but we work very, very long hours, kind of to jump into what a typical day during the season might be. So if there is rain, which you might be able to help me. If there's rain, what needs to happen to the field? Tarp. All right. So there's not any random people that are coming in specifically to put on the tarp. You could be in the middle of a sales call and have to wrap it up, throw on some different clothes, and run out and put the tarp on because you want to save the game for that night. So, let's say the groundskeeper tells everyone, hey, we're expecting rain overnight. We have to put the tarp on tonight. So you might have to come back at 10 o'clock at night to put on the tarp, and then take it off the next morning at 7 o'clock, go home, shower, and come back in, to be in your business clothes to start at 9 o'clock in the morning. So during the season, you're there from about 9 in the morning until, let's say it's a 7 o'clock game, gates open at 6 o'clock. So you're there, game starts at 7. Let's say it's a 2.5, 3-hour game, wraps up at 10, you shut down, and you're, pulling away at 11, 11:30. So, it's a very long day, but I will say it's very odd for me in my career that 15 hours working in a day, I still didn't have enough minutes in the day to be able to accomplish all that I wanted to. So just kind of, it's an ever-changing world. So minor league baseball is definitely for those who want something new, who want to be a part of the memory-making business. So I'm going to kind of dive into what my world looks like. As you can see, this is one slide. I've talked to some of you today. If you have 2 pages on your resume, please don't. Go to 1 page. I am a lot older and probably older than most of you, and mine is 1 page. If it can be that, and I've worked in this many places, you guys can do that also. I do not want to flip when I'm interviewing you. I can promise you, and you will be told there are a ton of people that want to get into sports. So when I'm looking at your resume, I want to see highlights, and if I want to know 2 pages worth of something, I'm calling you for an interview. So don't make me flip the page. So those of you that have 2 pages, please go back and give me the highlights. So that's one of the nuggets of knowledge. So, alrighty. So I went to school at Flagler College, majored in sport management. And, for me, being able to work in an industry that I have a passion for, which I'm going to jump back to yesterday's keynote speaker. For those of you that were here, you heard him say, do not say that you love a sport. And I can promise you, if you sit and tell me I love baseball and that's why I want to work in it, I'm going to be very frank, I don't care. I want to know that you have a passion to work in the industry. So, as you go into these interviews, have a passion for what you're doing. I can say this young lady in front has a passion for it, and we want to hear that. You might have if you have a story where you sat with your dad and you watched a game, and because of that you had these great moments, and you have a passion to work in an industry that gave you kind of that feel good, perfect. Because in minor league baseball, we're in the memory making business. I can tell you, and it's the Atlanta Hawks, he made a reference to they do better if their club's performing well. In minor league baseball, we don't care if the team wins or loses. And I can say that because we do not control anything that goes inside the white lines. So anything that's happening on the field, working in a minor league front office, I have nothing to do with it. So kind of to jump down a little bit, as a general manager, I have 0 say in who plays on the field. So if I get a first round draft pick coming through, he might leave me in a week. So, you capitalize on those that come through, the big names here and there, but ultimately at the end of the day, they're not staying long. So you're focusing on everything you can outside of the white lines. So just kind of remember that, and if minor league baseball is something for you, it's a memory-making business. You want someone that's coming in, that's enjoying your food, that's getting a bobblehead, I see one up here, that's watching fireworks, that's enjoying the in-between innings, and when they leave the ballpark, if I ask them, did you have a good time? And they say, yes, I've done my job. If I say, do you know who won tonight? What was the score? And they say, oh, I have no idea. Perfect. That is literally what I'm looking for, is someone to say, yes, I had an amazing time. And most of our fans, they don't know who's on the field, and that's okay, because we are not, we're not Major League Baseball where people are coming to see those big names. They're coming to have a good time. So, those things in mind. But when I was at Flagler College, I actually, I presented here quite long ago as a student. I'll just throw that out there, many a years ago. And I also went to, in Savannah, they had a sport management conference. So you will hear often, and I will say it often, network. Take advantage of people that are here. So I went up to the Jacksonville Suns general manager at the time. He was presenting, and I literally went up to him and I said, I want to work with you this summer. Here's what I'm looking to do, who do I need to get in touch with? So he put me in touch with the right person, and at the time, I had a passion for community relations. I love the outreach, I love being out in the community, I love, working with the youth. So I know it's been said, the more direction that you can give to someone to help you, I promise you, the better. So, if you're kind of going through and you're looking and you're struggling a little bit, what are things that you like to do on your own time? Do you enjoy social media? Do you enjoy finding a way to take a great photo and putting it out there? Do you enjoy working with the youth and doing baseball clinics, or reading to little kids on your own time? I think community relations might be the path for you. Do you enjoy going out and selling yourself, or coming out to an FSU volleyball game, or whatever it might be? Sales might be for you. So kind of like dig deep as to what you guys enjoy on a daily basis, and try to translate that into what you want to do with your career, because I promise you it will come across. If you stand up and say, this is what I love and this is what I want to do, people will hear that in your voice. So if you don't know, it's okay, but dig deep and kind of, what do I like doing? Do I enjoy, do I like putting on events like this? There's event management. So, kind of look through and see what you guys like doing. So, I want to be community relations. Went up, declared it, followed up, and I was a game day intern with the Jacksonville Suns in the community relations department. And really, baseball was something that I knew I enjoyed, but after that season, absolutely fell in love with it. So I knew it was something that I definitely wanted to make a career out of. And then for Flagler, we were required to do a sport management internship. So I'd actually made contact with the Erie Seawolves, which is what that little seawolf guy is up there. And I had stayed in touch with them. So I followed up and said, hey, I have to do this internship. Do you guys have anything available? And because I had stayed in touch and kept that contact, they said, yeah, absolutely, we have a marketing and promotions internship. So I accepted that, and I did that from January until September of that year. So at that point, unfortunately, they didn't have anything available, so I needed to go into the interviewing, the resume world, the fun world of finding jobs, and threw my resume out to a couple teams, and again, my focus was community relations and marketing and promotions. So I found an opportunity, that's the State College Spikes, which is the next level there. The State College Spikes were it was our first season at a new ballpark, so it was really kind of cool for me because not only is it my first full-time year, but I'm also able to develop new programs and implement them. And so we also were owned by, the same ownership was with the Altoona Curve, so I kind of got to jump back and forth between the two and really see what they're doing. And I had a mentor there, Elsie, who was Director of Community Relations in Altoona, and literally was one of the most thoughtful, kind people that I had met in my entire career. So I kind of observed on how she handled things, how she spoke to people, how she, worked with the community, and I wanted to mirror my career after that. And so I actually plugging along with the State College Spikes, and I get a call from Kirk Goodman, who was my GM with the Jacksonville Suns. And he says, hey, so I think I'm going to fire our director, or I think our director of community relations is going to leave this afternoon. Do you want her job? I was like, well, probably should let her quit first and then call me back. So she actually left that afternoon. So he calls me to say, hey, would you like this position? And again, those that have been in these talks earlier, if you keep in touch and opportunities come about and people know what you're looking for, and you're legit, let's be honest, people will call you. So I appreciated that. I took the opportunity, moved back down to Florida. And so I was Director of Community Relations for the Jacksonville Suns, working through the season. Wasn't looking for anything. I was living with my sister. It was lovely. I was back in Florida. And then Kirk decides to tell me that he's applying for a job up in Iowa. I'm like, okay, good luck. Best of luck to you. And he ends up getting it. So he's the VP and GM of the Quad Cities River Bandits, which is the little raccoon head there. And he said, would you like to come with me? I'm like, oh geez. Florida, Iowa, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man. So I contemplated it, and I went and spoke at Flagler to an intro class, and I had one of the students raise their hand and ask me, do you think you're gonna further your career if you stay in Jacksonville or if you go to Quad Cities? And literally at that moment, I was like, holy crap, I have to go to Iowa. I've never been there, I need to go. And I will say, as a female at that point in my career, I probably, and I won't say I wasn't, but I probably was not going to be promoted as quick as some of my, other coworkers. And because I recognized that, I decided to remove myself from that and go to a better opportunity. And that's something, not only as females, but anyone, if you find yourself not being supported in the way that you want in your career, find another opportunity. Take care of yourself and look for something that makes sense to you. So, drove up to Iowa, never had been, didn't go before, drove my car up. And so I was Director of Community and Client Relations with the Quad Cities River Bandits. And at that point in my career, as you can see, I've been in it for a couple years, and I decided, so I was overseeing kind of the community effort, and I will say that the previous owners, they weren't the nicest. They actually thought it would be funny to not pay their rent on the stadium and then hold the check and have the mascot deliver it later as a joke. I don't know, I don't get it. It wasn't a good joke. But so I was kind of coming into a community that wasn't loved, and it was very cool for me to just start reaching out to all these different places to ask them, how can we help you? We want to be here for you. So from that, we had 20 suites or skyboxes, kind of the luxury suites. No one was overseeing those, so I said, I'll do that too. So I took on that. I had never overseen those. We found out our person buying merchandise was actually stealing from us. We let him go. I just said I would take on that as well. We had great event space there, so kind of a big suite level that you could host different like wedding receptions or baby showers or whatever you can think of. And that was something that was kicking off, so I had an interest in events. I said, hey, I'll take on that too. So from that, I just continued to try to add things to my resume, because I will say I wanted to be a GM of a minor league club, and I knew that in college. So if some of you are putting that on there, good for you, but you better be willing to take on a lot. So I said, give me more. So I kept adding things to my resume, and then I was promoted to AGM. I think I was AGM for 2 seasons, and I got bored because working 15 hours, that's really boring. So I went to my GM, Kurt Goodman, and I said, hey, I'm bored. I want to add something to my life here. So we hosted the All-Star Game in 2011, the Midwest League All-Star Game. So I took on that entire project, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Kurt decided at the end of 2011 that he's going to wrap up his career in baseball. And so my owner, and who's still the owner of the Quad Cities River Bandits, completely different place where he fully supported advancing females in the industry. Didn't even look outside of our organization. I was given the opportunity to be GM. So I was general manager for 2 years there. And I will say, as a GM of the minor league team, again, kind of to reiterate, I have nothing to do with any players that are on the field. So my job was to get butts in seats, allow them to have a great time and spend money there. So, if a promotion went bad, ultimately at the end of the day, that's on me. If our lights went off because we didn't pay a bill, ultimately that's on me. Everything from staffing to how the facility ran to anything, again, outside of the white lines, that was on me. So it was a lot. It was definitely, but that was something that I wanted. And I definitely realized that going into it, I'd been taking on more and more and more. I knew very little about a little when I went in being a GM. So it was interesting to kind of be thrown into that, and now you're learning about different stadium insurance or, various nerdy stuff and paperwork that, no one tells you that you have to deal with that as well. So I spent 2 years there, and I will say my last year, it was I'd been on the minor league baseball team side for 10 years, and I realized that I was kind of starting to slow down a little bit. I was going to get married that fall, and for me, I felt it was a good time to kind of close that chapter and look for what's next. And so I took a little bit of time off. I skipped over it because I'm focusing on my great times with minor league baseball, but I did spend a year at IMG Academy. And while I was there, and again, kind of stressing the importance of networking, keeping in touch with people, I was actually at the point where I was ready to look for something else. And my now boss, who's the COO of minor league baseball, reached out to me on LinkedIn. So please be constantly checking, updating, and reaching out to people on there. And he reached out to say, I have an opportunity. I don't know if you're interested, but I would love to talk to you. I now know more. But I literally, when I was interviewing, I knew nothing about digital properties or digital anything. And so when I went into the interview, he said, we're interviewing you because you understand the game and the industry, you have relationships with the people in the industry, and I think you can learn the rest. And I was like, that's good. I'm going to be very honest. I don't know anything. So if you're okay with that, like the rest, I'm good. Yes, I've maintained friends with everyone. So to kind of jump. So that takes me to my current world. So I work with minor league baseball, which is headquarters of minor league baseball. We're located in St. Pete, and I oversee an area, it's called BIRCO, so to get super nerdy, Baseball Internet Rights Company. And so for me, I work with all 160 clubs, and I essentially act as a resource to everyone. So kind of to highlight different areas that I work with clubs on: audio streaming, video streaming. We have a First Pitch app. We have something called Stanza, the downloadable calendar. We have an online merchandise store. So my job is to kind of almost project manage or provide the teams with these different platforms to kind of highlight some of the things. Has anyone seen Mascot Mania and voted on your favorite minor league mascot? If not, do it next time so we can get more votes and page views and things, please. And then, so this is our online store. So we provide this platform for all the teams. And so basically the shell is there, and then it's our jobs in our office to kind of go in the back end and kind of help them through that. So if you go and you kind of look at our shops, every team is responsible to buy their own merchandise, to put this on there. And our job is, if you go on some of these teams, they're walking through their merchandise store and taking pictures with iPhones and then putting the pictures on here. This is actually, these are nice looking ones, but I mean, if you guys are cruising through, I don't know, name a store, and if you saw, let's say you're shopping on Target and someone walked through Target and was taking pictures and threw it up there, you would probably think it was a fake site. So some of our teams are there, so it's my job to kind of push them to that next level and get them to take better quality photos. So again, just kind of being a resource for all 160. Okay, so I've talked to some of you in the room, and then I've also through kind of my career path here, but there are a million different opportunities in minor league baseball, and I'm here representing all 160 and our office today. Our office, we have about 50 full-time people. We do have internships, however, we also have 160 clubs in various markets. And, I just kind of went through and I threw some things up there. Whether I hit on them, I've done them or not. But just to kind of give you guys if you're sitting there going, where the heck do I want to go in my career? Maybe something on here that you had not thought of before. Maybe you enjoy being outside and you enjoy cutting grass. Groundskeeping is an area. You see awesome mow patterns, and I mean, it's a science to take care of a field. Or maybe, you enjoy, if you've worked at a concession stand, we had a food and beverage company that specializes in that we had everything from picnics to suites to the concession stands to the portables around there. Someone has to make the food and manage it. I got nerdy excited to jump into that world and kind of help with menus or menu boards. And then also, when things got slow, you cut on labor and you get excited because you're saving money. Only if you're a nerd, you get really excited about cutting on labor. But, just to kind of give you guys an opportunity to see all the different areas that are out there. And I mean, it's only going to continue to grow. You guys just heard about social media. Our teams are starting to add those positions, and people are starting to realize it's only getting more important. Graphic design, if I didn't put it on there, it's kind of endless, the different things. And I will say our teams vary. There's some teams that have 2 people on staff, and that's it. And then they'll fill with interns throughout the season. There are other front office staffs that have 50 people. So it just kind of depends on the market, depends on the team, of what's available. So, just to kind of throw some things out there that minor league baseball has to offer, and it's not the end all. And then ultimately, learning a lot of these things and growing to an AGM, a VP, a GM position, knowing a lot about a lot is definitely the key if you want to continue to grow up. So, a couple things I want to highlight on, and you can correct me if I'm wrong. I'm shooting to you a lot, I apologize. So, name a couple. So Fort Myers, is that what it was that you were? So, did you ever sell tickets? Did you ever take out the trash? What if someone said, can you please go take out that trash? And you would say, that's not my job. So I will say something in minor league baseball, if you say that's not my job, that does not go over well. So as a GM, I very much managed in the way that I wanted to do everything that my staff was doing. And if there's a trash that's overflowing and I walk by it, I'm just making a bad experience for people who are coming and, dropping it, and there's trash all over the place. So, my ultimate goal was people coming to the ballpark or having this great experience. I'm not going to walk by something or, trash on the ground to, radio someone else that'll take 15 minutes to do it. So I'm doing everything myself. So saying that's not my job, that does not fly in minor league baseball. So again, if that's kind of your thing, it's okay. There's other opportunities out there for you. So yeah, just being open to kind of help out everywhere. Because if you talk to anyone that worked in minor league baseball, they've done a little bit of everything. Whether, if there's long lines at the box office and there's an open computer to sell tickets, if you know how, you're jumping in. If there's long lines to get in the ballpark, you're jumping and scanning tickets or tearing tickets to get people in the ballpark. If there's a long line at the beer line, you want to sell those beers, you're slinging beers to these people. So, just kind of having that willingness to really jump in and do what needs to be done. Something that I didn't really think anything of, but my owner in Quad Cities, like apparently, he pointed this out, and it was something that I was just kind of doing, but it snows in Iowa, and the first person there will get there, and they will shovel, so everyone else can walk in. And so I was there one day, and I was shoveling, and this was early on in my career there, and he asked me why I was doing it, and I was like, well, it needs to be done. And to me, it meant nothing, but he would talk about it for years later, so it was kind of a standout thing, but if I were to just walk in, everyone behind me would do the same thing. So, again, it's not my job. Something super exciting as a general manager, I got to let go of, does anyone know what a clubby is? Clubhouse manager? What's the clubby's main job? Yes, what do you got?
Laundry and running errands for the players, like picking up lunch and doing whatever things they think you're doing today.
Pretty much. So you're doing laundry, you're cleaning up after them, you're basically kind of their assistant for these 30-some guys that are in the clubhouse. So I had a clubby that told me that his job was not to wash clothes. That is his main job. So I was like, oh, this isn't gonna work out. So now I don't have a clubby. So I get to learn how to wash uniforms. I clean a mean urinal. I don't like to, but I do. So, it was one of those things that it needed to be done. So in the meantime, while I was finding someone else, I had to do it. And so I would make the players so if they get a rip in their pants, someone has to repair it. So they would leave me notes, and I would make them say please and thank you on there. So I was also instilling manners throughout the year. But, just kind of going with those, it's not my job. So I'm going to give you the best story of my career, then do my 3 highlights and open it to questions. But the coolest part of my career as a general manager was 2012, and we were affiliated with the St. Louis Cardinals. So if anyone knows where Iowa is, if you don't, it is about 4-ish hours from St. Louis. So being in Iowa, you're 2.5 from Chicago and 4-ish from St. Louis, you want to be a covered Cardinals affiliate. Like that is your hope, so that the little bit that you can kind of market off of that, so the little bit of control that you do have. So I actually was driving players to the airport on the last day of the season, and I get a call from our owner saying, basically the Cardinals are breaking up with us. So I was like, oh my gosh, okay. And I kind of bent over backwards to, make sure their errands were done, all these things. And so it's kind of a dating game at that point. Every even year, so this being 2016, an even year, if you don't have a signed contract with a major league team that goes through, it's an affiliation year. So it's called a player development contract. And so they have the opportunity, either as a minor league team, you can file to say, I'm breaking up with my major league affiliate, or the major league club can say, I'm breaking up with my minor league affiliate. So the Cardinals broke up with us, so now we're back on the market. So we're out there, and I get a call from the Athletics, because they're available, they're on the market. The Angels fly in to chat with me, which I was like, okay, that's impressive. And then I had the Astros actually fly me down to Houston. And I will say, by far, my ultimate favorite is the smile on people's faces, but that was the coolest thing, where I go down to Houston, and I will say it's not because they flew me down there, although that was fun, but kind of thinking of, for a major league affiliate, what are we looking for? Because again, ultimately, we don't have control of who they send, but what they do contribute. And so at the time, the Astros were horrible, and everyone said to me, what are you doing? Half these people in the community, they don't understand who's on the field anyway, but because the Astros at the major league level were horrible, it means at the minor league level, we were going to get some legit players coming through. So I know you're not Astros fans, but has anyone heard of Carlos Correa? Okay, Lance McCullers. So we do get excited about some of the guys coming through, where there's guys like that while they're there, they don't stay long. You get excited, you do some giveaways and things like that, but Ultimately, I had known Jeff, who's a GM at the Astros, from when he was with the Cardinals. So kind of having that relationship already and understanding what each other wanted out of it. So I signed the PDC, went in the back closet in the press box at Minute Maid Park, and I called the Angels and I said, it's not you, it's me, we're going with someone else. So we signed with the Astros, but that was by far, that was the coolest. So if you don't get anything else from my rambling today, these 3 things. You've heard over and over and over, and you will never stop hearing. Network and stay in touch. And I know you've been told, you guys are all, you're gonna go on and do wonderful things, and you're gonna be contacts for each other. You've had some speakers here today that used to go to FSU. So you guys are all contacts for one another. Never say it's not my job. If you're ever working around me, or if I hear that you're out and about, and you say it's not my job, I'm gonna tell them to fire you. Just a warning. And then also be proactive about learning more. Don't assume that someone knows that you want to take on something else. So, if you're sitting, like I was sitting there and I got bored as an AGM, and so I went and said, what else can I do? I want more. I wouldn't assume that my boss knew that I wanted to take on more. So I went and I was very vocal about it because I wanted to move up. I got the All-Star game dumped on my lap, which I appreciated, but don't just sit there and assume, I don't know why I'm not getting more responsibility. I don't know why I'm not moving up. Ask for it, because, everyone is in their own world, kind of, head down, doing different things, so please. And I will say, because I'm a female, especially being a female, demand that you want more, take on more responsibility. So, if you don't remember anything else, these 3 things. Questions, please. Yes, sir. Sorry, am I allowed to call on people? Okay.
With minor league baseball, I know in the past, it's hard to delegate. How exactly, what was the toughest part about delegating with minor league baseball for you, your personal experience?
I think you come to a point where you realize you can't do everything, and you really try to put a great support system around you. And ultimately, if it's someone that's not doing what needs to be done, because I can't be up there running the video production booth, I can't be overseeing the box office, I can't be doing that. I can be all over the place, but I can't ultimately be there all the time. It's putting good people in place that you can trust, and if you can't, then probably need to find someone else. But it is hard. It is hard. I will say, kind of to go off of that, my weakness was practicing patience. And as you continue to grow up in your career and you have more people under you, everyone's a wild beast. And they kind of, they need to be communicated in different ways, and they ask things and this and that. Have patience to understand how to work with many, many different people. Because even, think about your closest friends. You guys are all different, and that was, for me, something I needed to learn, was to practice my patience. So I still tell myself that. Anticipation's killing me. Yes.
Yes.
Hello.
Yes. You say it's, you never say that's not my job. I used to work for a minor league baseball team a while back, Nashville Sounds.
Mm-hmm.
Is it common to have spillover, or if you have one job and you go somewhere else to kind of help out, like say, if I'm in the ticket booth and they need some help upstairs doing sales on the phone call, I can do that, or, if I'm a janitor and they need some help doing something else on the field, is that common to help
Yes.
out in other
Everywhere.
jobs?
Always.
Okay.
Yes.
Never a limit to it.
Huh?
It's never a limit.
No. Not at all. You pull tarp, you pick up trash, you change out light bulbs, you paint, you sling tickets, beer, merchandise, whatever it takes. They are minor league, they're not affiliated. So they do not have a major league club that they funnel into. They get some big names through there though.